They say a candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. But what if you could burn with brilliance and endurance, blazing with vitality for a century? To live not merely in years, but in power, in health, in sharpness of mind and strength of spirit. The question isn't just how to live to 100. It's how to live 100 years with fire in your soul and youth still echoing in your step. Because longevity without vitality is survival, not life. And you were not born to simply survive. You were born to expand, to conquer, to experience every sunrise with the vigor of a warrior who refuses to be broken by time. The secret of reaching 100 is not buried in science alone. It is buried in mindset, in the philosophy of how you live each day. Look at the men and women who defied the years. Edison worked through the night well into his 80s, his mind sparking with ideas while others surrendered to fatigue. Carnegie built empires and devoted his later years to giving back, his heart fueled by purpose beyond profit. Walt Disney dreamed and planned even when his body began to fail him, because vision has a way of extending life beyond the grasp of mortality. The thread that ties them all together is this: they refused to let the clock dictate their vitality. They lived by principles that kept them expanding, adapting, and believing when others shrank back. To live to 100, you must first rewire how you think about life itself. Most people decay long before their bodies give up. Their spirit collapses under the weight of fear, boredom, or conformity. They think aging means slowing down, when in truth, aging is the universe asking, "What will you do with the wisdom I've given you?" If you believe age is decline, your body obeys. But if you believe age is ascent, a deepening, a sharpening, your cells, your habits, your very heartbeat begins to echo that belief. Science now proves what Napoleon Hill declared a century ago, that the mind is the master. A thought can poison the body, but it can also heal it. Picture a man at 60 who wakes each morning bitter, replaying the regrets of his past. His shoulders slump, his energy fades, his immune system weakens, and every year feels like punishment. Now picture another man at 60 who rises before dawn with curiosity, who learns something new, who believes the best years are still ahead. He laughs deeply, he walks with a spring in his step, and he feels alive because he has a mission to fulfill. Tell me, who will live longer? More importantly, who will truly live? The first secret of living to 100 is not in your diet or your exercise routine. It is in your mind. The greatest healer, the greatest elixir of longevity, is purpose. When your life has a reason, your body finds a way to sustain itself for the journey. Look to the blue zones, those rare places on Earth where more people live past a century than anywhere else. In Okinawa, they call it ikigai, a reason to wake up in the morning. In Sardinia, the elders walk hillsides with laughter in their voices, tied to family, to community, to belonging. They are not obsessed with surviving another year. They are obsessed with living this one fully. To live to 100, you must cultivate a relentless curiosity about life. Edison didn't stop experimenting because of age. He experimented because curiosity never ages. Youth is not measured in years, but in wonder. The moment you stop asking questions, the moment you stop stretching your mind and daring your body, you begin to rust. Like steel left in the rain, neglect corrodes you faster than time itself. But a life polished daily with learning, with movement, with love, that life gleams long after others fade. Think of Henry Ford, who said, "Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young." That truth is a blueprint for a century of living. Longevity is not about escaping age. It is about outsmarting it, outrunning it, and most importantly, outbelieving it. So if you desire to live to 100, begin with this command to yourself. I will never stop living today. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. You breathe deeply, you eat consciously, you move deliberately, you think boldly, and you love fiercely. You craft your hours like a sculptor carves stone, knowing every strike of the chisel shapes the monument of your years. The body follows where the mind leads. If you fill your days with despair, your body weakens. If you fill your days with purpose, your body strengthens. And if you dare to fill your days with passion, your body will astonish you. There is a rhythm to long life, a music that plays beneath the surface of every century-old heartbeat. It is not the loud chaos of rushing through existence, but the steady drum of discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is the greatest gift you can give your future self. A man who disciplines his body today grants his 80-year-old self the ability to walk without pain. A woman who disciplines her thoughts today grants her 90-year-old self a mind as sharp as a blade. Every act of discipline is a letter you write to the future version of you, the one who will either thank you or curse you when the years arrive. Consider Benjamin Franklin, who at an age when most men would be resigned to decline, was still inventing, still writing, still shaping nations. His secret was not luck. It was a life woven with daily habits. He rose with the sun. He studied constantly. He ate with moderation. He moved his body. He disciplined his time. Longevity is never an accident. It is earned through thousands of small, invisible choices that compound into decades of vitality. And yet, discipline without joy is slavery. To live to 100, you must master the art of balance, the harmony between rigor and pleasure. The centenarians of Sardinia do not count calories with obsession. They break bread with family, sip wine with laughter, and walk hillsides not because they must, but because life demands movement. They move naturally because their days are filled with purpose, not because a fitness app told them to. To live long, your habits must be married to joy. Walk not because it burns calories, but because the world whispers to you through rustling leaves and setting suns. Eat not because of restriction, but because real food fuels real living. Laugh not because it adds years to your life, but because it adds life to your years. And let us not forget the greatest secret often ignored in the chase for longevity. Stress is the silent killer. Worry corrodes the body faster than time. Fear tightens the arteries more than cholesterol. Resentment poisons the blood more deeply than sugar. If you wish to live to 100, you must learn the alchemy of peace. You must master the ability to let go of grudges, of anxieties, of the illusion of control. Look at Abraham Lincoln, who bore the crushing weight of a divided nation. His face aged beyond his years, yet his spirit endured because he clung to humor, to reflection, to meaning. He knew that leadership demanded more than iron. It demanded surrender to a higher vision. That surrender is what saves us from being consumed by the fires of life. Longevity is not about hiding from storms. It is about learning to walk calmly through them. Imagine two men under rain. One curses the sky, shivers, and collapses from exhaustion. The other opens his arms, smiles at the gift of water, and keeps walking. Which of these men carries lighter years? Stress is not in the event, it is in your response. If you make peace with the world, your body finds peace within. If you choose gratitude over bitterness, your heart beats longer, your blood flows freer, your life stretches further. Gratitude is the fountain of youth, hidden not in creams or serums, but in the unseen chemistry of the spirit. Think of it. Every morning you wake is a miracle. Billions never saw the dawn you just witnessed. To open your eyes, to breathe, to stand, to love, these are gifts disguised as ordinary moments. The people who live to 100 do not see life as ordinary. They see it as holy, as wondrous, as something to be cherished. They rise not with dread, but with reverence, and reverence keeps the heart young. But longevity is not only about the mind and spirit, it is also about movement. The body was designed to move, to bend, to stretch, to carry. Sedentary living is slow suicide. The muscles weaken, the bones thin, the heart tires, the brain fogs. But a body in motion refuses to surrender. Consider Charles Eugster, who took up bodybuilding in his late 80s and sprinting in his 90s. He said, "We can rebuild the body at any age." Science proves him right. Strength can be regained, vitality rekindled, energy reignited, even when the calendar says otherwise. Do not confuse longevity with fragility. To live long, you must remain strong. Strength is not about lifting weights until your arms break. It is about refusing to let your body rot in stillness. Walk daily, stretch deeply. Train your muscles not for vanity, but for survival. For every muscle you build today is armor against the years. Every step you take today is a promise of independence tomorrow. And yet, even the strongest body will fail without connection. Longevity thrives in community. Isolation kills faster than disease. A lonely heart beats weaker, while a connected soul endures. This is why the elders of Okinawa live so long. They are not left in homes to wither alone. They are surrounded by friends, by family, by laughter. They live woven into the fabric of love, and that fabric holds them up when the years press down. So, to live to 100, you must build your tribe. Surround yourself with those who lift you, who challenge you, who remind you of your value. Remove the toxic voices, the soul-draining environments, the relationships that corrode your peace. Life is too short, even at 100, to be wasted on those who steal your vitality. Love deeply, forgive quickly, cherish relentlessly. Connection keeps you alive long after the body should have given in. There is a dangerous lie many people swallow. That old age is a prison sentence. That once you cross a certain number, your role is to shrink, to retire from life itself, to wait for the curtain to fall. But history shows us something different. Age is not a death sentence. It is a crown of mastery, a field of wisdom waiting to be harvested. If youth is fire, old age is light. And when the fire and light combine, when passion meets wisdom, life doesn't end. It transcends. Consider Michelangelo. At 87 years old, when most would consider his life's work complete, he was still chiseling stone, still painting visions that would outlive centuries. He once said, "Ancora imparo." I am still learning. Imagine that, the greatest artist of his era, one breath from 90, declaring that he was still a student of life. That is the essence of longevity. Not the hoarding of years, but the endless hunger to keep expanding into them. Living to 100 demands this same hunger. It demands the courage to never stop growing. A tree that stops reaching for sunlight begins to rot from within. And so it is with the human soul. If you wish to live long, you must never stop reaching for knowledge, for deeper connections, for higher goals. Stagnation is death disguised as comfort. Comfort feels safe, but it robs you quietly, day by day, until you are too weak to fight. Growth feels dangerous, but it is the only thing that renews you. Think of Thomas Edison again. He failed thousands of times before he gave the world the electric light. Those failures didn't end when he was young. Even in later years, his labs were littered with experiments that went nowhere. But he embraced the failures as steps to mastery. And that attitude, the refusal to surrender curiosity, kept him alive in spirit. Do you see it? Living to 100 isn't only about protecting the body, it's about protecting the spark of the soul. But let us speak plainly. There are enemies of long life, thieves hiding in plain sight. Laziness is one. Neglect is another. But the deadliest is hopelessness. The moment you believe the best days are behind you, the clock begins to run faster. Your mind sends messages of surrender to your cells. Your body says, the fight is over. And slowly, you become your own executioner. Contrast this with Winston Churchill. At a time when his country was drowning in war, when fear hung over every household, he stood before his people and thundered, "We shall never surrender." That conviction was not just for his nation, it was for his own soul. He smoked, he drank, he faced the weight of history itself, and still he lived into his 90s. Why? Because his spirit refused to bow. He understood what too many forget. Hopelessness is decay, but defiance is life. If you wish to live to 100, you must live with defiance. Defiance against despair, against fear, against the whisper that says, "You're too old." Each year must not be a retreat but a charge forward. When the world tells you to slow down, you whisper back, "Watch me." That spirit is what bends time in your favor. Yet longevity is not a war against the body. It is a partnership with it. You must treat your body not as a prison, but as a temple. Every bite you take, every hour you sleep, every movement you make is either a brick reinforcing that temple or a crack weakening its walls. Look to the diets of the longest-living people. They do not gorge on processed poisons. They eat foods grown from soil, foods kissed by sunlight. They eat in moderation, not gluttony. They feast on vegetables, fruits, legumes, fish, nuts. They eat to live, not live to eat. But beyond diet, there is another fuel, breath. Most people breathe shallow as if they are afraid to take in life itself, but those who live long breathe deeply, consciously, filling their lungs with the very spirit of the earth. Oxygen is vitality, yet we starve ourselves of it through stress, through slouching, through forgetfulness. To live to 100, reclaim your breath. It sounds small, but it is everything. And here lies another truth. Laughter is medicine. Doctors now confirm what sages always knew. Laughter strengthens immunity, lowers stress, heals the heart. A life filled with joy is a life extended. Why else do children live with such vitality? Because they laugh freely, without calculation. If you want to live to 100, return to that childlike joy. Laugh without reason, smile without condition, and you'll find the years bending in your favor. Most of all, living to 100 means living awake. Not drifting through decades in a haze, but noticing the smell of rain on soil, the texture of bread, the warmth of a hand in yours. Every day lived in awareness multiplies its weight in your soul. 100 years of half-living is tragedy. 50 years of full living is glory. But 100 years of awake, passionate, grateful living, that is immortality carved into time. There is a moment, often in the quiet of the night, when a man or woman faces themselves honestly. No distractions, no noise, no audience, just the raw reflection in the mirror of the soul. In that moment, the question rises, have I truly lived, or have I merely existed? The people who reach 100 with light still in their eyes are those who can answer, I have lived. Not perfectly, not without scars, but fully, fiercely, awake. To live a century is not only to master health, but to master meaning. A body without meaning becomes heavy, no matter how strong the muscles. A heart without meaning becomes tired, no matter how steady the beat. Purpose is oxygen for the spirit. Without it, the years choke you. With it, the years carry you like wind in your sails. Think of Helen Keller. Struck blind and deaf before most children even learn to speak, she could have surrendered to darkness. Yet she chose meaning. She chose to become a beacon for millions. She lived to 87, not just in years, but in impact. Her body may have been limited, but her spirit burned beyond time. The lesson? Longevity is not only about the body you're given, but the spirit you refuse to waste. And purpose does not have to be grand to be powerful. A gardener who rises each morning to tend his plants has purpose. A grandmother who pours her wisdom into the hearts of her grandchildren has purpose. A teacher who guides even one child toward greatness has purpose. Do not confuse fame with fulfillment. A quiet life lived with meaning will stretch far longer than a loud life lived in emptiness. But meaning must be paired with adaptability. Life will not grant you a smooth road to 100. There will be storms, betrayals, losses, illnesses, heartbreaks. Those who survive longest are not those who avoid the storms, but those who bend with them. The reed survives the hurricane because it bends. The oak breaks because it refuses to yield. Adaptability is survival. Resilience is immortality. Look at Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison, yet emerged not bitter, but brighter. He lived into his 90s because his spirit chose forgiveness over corrosion, vision over vengeance. He adapted not by surrendering his values, but by expanding them. To live long, you must learn to transform suffering into strength. Every wound can be poison, or it can be medicine. It depends on what you make of it. And do not overlook the role of faith, whether faith in God, in humanity, or in the quiet order of the universe. Faith is the unseen shield that carries the centenarian through uncertainty. Science now shows that people with strong spiritual lives often live longer. Why? Because faith replaces fear, and fear is decay. Faith gives meaning to pain, calm to chaos, light to the unknown. Without faith, life feels like a countdown. With faith, life feels like a journey, each year a step closer to something greater. But remember this, living to 100 is not about clinging desperately to youth. It is about honoring the season you are in. Winter has its own beauty, its own wisdom, its own strength. The wrinkle is not a flaw. It is a signature of survival. The white hair is not weakness. It is the crown of endurance. The scar is not shame. It is proof that life struck you, and you struck back. Those who live long learn to embrace their season without envy of another. They do not waste their 60s wishing for 20s, nor their 90s wishing for 40s. They find the gold in their present, and that contentment extends their years. Gratitude, adaptability, purpose, faith, discipline, connection, these are the invisible medicines of longevity. But there is another, often forgotten, legacy. Those who live long and strong think beyond themselves. They plant trees they will never sit under. They build foundations others will stand on. Andrew Carnegie spent his later years giving away most of his fortune to libraries, universities, and causes that outlived him. His body passed, but his vision continues to breathe. Legacy is a form of immortality that extends far beyond 100. When you live with legacy in mind, your life carries a weight that strengthens your spirit against the wear of years. And do not misunderstand, living to 100 does not mean chasing immortality out of fear of death. It means living so fully that death itself has no sting. You live with such richness that when the final day comes, you are not afraid. You are fulfilled. The centenarians who smile at their 100th birthday are not clinging, they are celebrating. They know they did not waste their breath, did not squander their time, did not live as ghosts in their own skin. So the secret is not only in vitamins, or in medicine, or in routines. The true secret is in waking each day with the conviction, I will live today as if it matters, because it does. The 100-year life is not built in years, it is built in minutes, in choices, in thoughts, in loves. One decision at a time, one habit at a time, one belief at a time. And you, standing here, breathing now, still have the power to begin. To live to 100 is to live not by accident, but by design. You are not here to drift, waiting for time to carry you wherever it will. You are here to command it, to shape it, to master it with intention. Every hour of discipline adds a day. Every day of gratitude adds a year. Every year of purpose adds a decade, and altogether they build a century. But do not mistake longevity as a pursuit of numbers alone. 100 years is meaningless if you live them small. True longevity is about depth, not just distance. You could live 40 years in mediocrity or 100 in magnificence. The choice is yours. Think of Abraham Lincoln again. His life was cut short at 56, yet his influence stretches beyond centuries. Why? Because he lived deeply, not safely. And then consider Jeanne Calment, who lived to 122 years, the longest verified human life. She laughed every day, rode her bicycle past 100 and claimed that her secret was olive oil, wine, and a refusal to worry. Between Lincoln and Calment, the lesson is clear. The quality of your years is as vital as the quantity. So let us fuse them, to live long and to live fully, to stretch the years and to stretch the soul, to walk 100 steps on the timeline of life but with the depth of 1,000. That is the true art of longevity. And this art begins with one decision, to live awake. Awake to your mind, your body, your spirit. Awake to the gifts of this moment, awake to the truth that every breath is a chance to build or to break, to expand or to decay. Too many move through life asleep, sleepwalking into disease, into despair, into regret. But the awakened live fiercely. They taste, they feel, they love, they grow. They live not in years, but in flames of awareness that light up the decades. Ask yourself, if today were the blueprint of your next 50 years, would you be proud? If your habits, your thoughts, your relationships, your diet, your movements, your gratitude, or lack of it, were multiplied for decades, would it carry you to 100, or would it drag you to an early grave? The secret of a century-long life is hidden in the answer to that question. History has proven this again and again. Look at Leonardo da Vinci, whose curiosity stretched into every corner of creation. He lived into his 60s, but his energy, his imagination, his insatiable hunger gave him the vitality of 10 men. Look at Edison, Ford, Carnegie, builders who burned their candle on both ends, yet found ways to extend their lives through legacy. Look at the centenarians of today, who laugh, move, eat well, and remain tethered to family and purpose. Different stories, same truth. Longevity is built, not gifted. And if you are listening to these words now, you still hold the tools. You can choose clarity over confusion. You can choose discipline over decay. You can choose vision over despair. You can choose gratitude over bitterness. You can choose to live, not just to age. But here is the final truth, the one that turns 100 years into a masterpiece. Love. Love is the ultimate healer, the ultimate preserver of life. Science proves that people who love deeply, who give freely, who forgive easily, live longer. Why? Because love strengthens the immune system, lowers stress, heals wounds unseen. But beyond science, love is what makes longevity worthwhile. What good is 100 years if they are lived in loneliness, in bitterness, in greed? 100 years of love, even imperfect, is a crown that outshines all riches. So, if you want to live to 100, love. Love the people who walk beside you. Love the life you've been given. Love yourself enough to care for your mind, your body, your spirit. Love the present moment, because it is all you truly have. And when love fuels your life, every cell, every organ, every heartbeat joins in the chorus of endurance. Imagine yourself at 100. The candles flicker on a cake. Around you are faces lit by gratitude, children, grandchildren, friends, students, people whose lives you touched. Your body may not be as strong as it once was, but your spirit is radiant. You sit not in regret, but in triumph. Not because you never suffered, but because you never stopped living. That is the vision you must carry now, today, at this very breath. That is the secret of the century life. To live to 100, live with clarity, live with vision, live with discipline, live with adaptability, live with resilience, live with curiosity, live with faith, live with connection, live with laughter, live with gratitude, live with purpose, live with love. And when you do, time itself bows to you. The years stretch, the body endures, the mind sharpens, the spirit deepens. And you will not merely count the years, you will make the years count. So begin now. Breathe deeply, walk boldly, love fiercely, live fully. The century awaits.